First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for joining the webinar. Appreciate you taking time out of your day. My name is Chris Conley. I'm the division manager here at ArborPro. So I'm going to get started with, first off, I'm just going to kind of let you know this is Google Maps is our default map now that we're using for 2.0. You'll see here we've got the satellite, regular map image. And from here, we can also add labels if you want to keep the labels on Google Maps to show you street names, or you can take them off. You can also type in an address and zoom into that address, take you there. Also, it has the GPS location. So when you first log in to Enterprise, let your iPad or phone know that give us access to your GPS. And when you do, you'll see the little person. This is you that follows you around, as accurate as those can be on your phone or iPad. First part of it I'm going to introduce you to is down here in the lower right is our toolbox. Most of the tools in here are something that you'll be using out in the field on your iPad. So when you open up the toolbox, first one I'm going to show you here, the first tool is the polygon selection tool. So what this does, it opens up this polygon or rectangle square that I can then move around with my finger or a stylus on my iPad to select the trees that I want to select for my map on my map option here. When I'm done, I hit OK, and that will give me my selection. It shows you my selection in the spreadsheet view here, which you can sort by any of the columns here, by DBH, by height, by species. And the next tool here in my little toolbox I'm going to show you is the clear maps, so I can clear that highlight, that selection that I've made. Another tool, move a tree. So if you have a tree that you either don't like where it was placed the first time, you want to move it around, or if you actually moved the tree, you can click on a tree, a point, and click where you want to put that point. And then move that back. Next tool here is our selection tool. So this allows you to select trees. So for an example, if you're out in the field, you're walking either a property or a certain area in a property, or in this case, the parking lot, and I want to select certain trees to add to a list that I'm going to send to my contractor to work on. So as you're moving around, you can select specific trees that you want them to work on, or your in-house crew, if that's the case. And once I've made that selection, click Finish, open up my spreadsheet view here and my inventory view, and I have those 8 trees selected. So you can use that polygon tool to select a big grouping of trees, or use the click to select for individual trees. The last tool that I'm going to show you in the toolbox is a pretty important one that you'll use probably quite often, is add a tree. That opens up this add a tree bullseye view. And what's different than other versions that we've had is you're moving the map around instead of dropping a pin on top of the tree. So from here, I can zoom in to the tree that I want to plot or add to the database. Once I've got where I want to put it, I can hit the check mark. And that's going to open up the blank tree detail form over here. This is where I would start entering my information. And when I've completed adding everything, I can save that tree. And it saves the tree, keeps that add a tree option open. So I can go to my next tree, add it. And from here, it opens up this one now that says paste recent or paste tree data. So what that'll do is it'll paste the information from the last tree that I just added. So it adds that information automatically after pressing that, and maybe I need to make a change here. I can go in and make my change to DBH, hit save, and I've added that tree. And then one more, add a tree. It opens up this other icon here which says paste tree data. So this will, when you open it, it'll list like the last 4 trees. As you start adding trees, it'll list the last 4 trees, and then you can pick from one of those trees if it's the same as one you did 4 trees ago. Click on that, hit submit, and it's filled in that data. Should save time when you're out doing an inventory, especially when you're adding a lot of the same trees. When I'm done, just check off, click and exit the add a tree. The next thing I want to show you is the tree detail. So as you have an inventory and you want to look at one tree, click on top of that point. It's going to open up the tree detail, shows you all the information on this tree. The tree tab here gives you the characteristics. So it gives you your species, condition, the DBH, height, puts both of those into a range, your trunks, status. This is an active tree. Got recommended maintenance. This client, which is a university, they had us add a custom field. So you have the ability to add custom fields to this. In this case, they wanted to notate whether this was or is a memorial tree. So yes or no, if there is a memorial sign. And then also if there's just a sign, there might be a tree sign on some of their trees. So if there's a tree sign, add yes. If that sign is in good condition or needs attention. And then here, if it was a memorial tree, you could put in some memorial notes. As far as the tree sign itself, notes, replace sign in 2023. And then we move down to the location attributes. Gives you the longitude, latitude here. Again, this is our open tree database. So this is going to have location attributes of property, area, location, whereas our street tree would be more of address number, street name, fictitious name on street. So you see the location attributes here, site number, and if there was any hardscape damage. Any notes that you'd want to add to this tree would be put in the notes field. And then you can add images. So this tree already currently image was added. It has the info down here. It tells you the name of the file for that tree, when it was updated, or who updated it and who added that tree, and then the date it was added. I can change the name here or delete the photo by these 3 dots. When you're ready to add another image, you'll always have an open blank one here to add a new image. When you're on your iPad, when you click here, it will take you to your camera or your gallery. You choose, if you're taking the photo, you pick on your camera. I'm on a PC, so it's going to open up my images. I'm going to add the image. And then it gives me an area to add another image. Underneath the images or the photos, You can also add additional files. So you can add Word docs, Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, any other document you might want to add. They will be listed here. I've added a tree risk assessment form. Opens it up. And then here you would add the next attachment you want to add. Finally, in the tree characteristics is when this tree was added to the system, gives you the date, who last updated this tree, and the date it was last updated. It's down here at the bottom. Next to the tree tab is the work tab. So this is where all the work history will be shown. So you can see the dates, what work was done, who did it, and if there was a cost associated with it. This is also where you would add new work history for this individual tree. So if I click on add new work history, I can say this work was done today. It was done by Tree Elements. You can put hours or cost, the work code, and your subcode, and hit submit. And it's added that new work history to the tree. Next are the icons up here up top. Save, so any changes you make to the tree detail, you can save. If you tried to exit out of this tree and maybe you accidentally made a change to a field you didn't want to, it will remind you. So it appears you've entered new data. Would you like to save it? If you don't, you can exit out of it and say no. Or if you wanted to save it. We have built-in Google Street View. If there is a street view of this tree within Google, it will show up here. So when you click on Street View, it is going to show you that tree on the Street View. And when I exit out of it, I can exit out of it by just clicking that again. If you'd like to share this tree with another user, you can email it or text it to them. By clicking on here, you can share this URL. Click here, it'll copy that to your clipboard. And again, when you text it, you can text that link or email that link. And when they open it up, it will direct them to that tree, highlight it, and open up the tree detail. Now I'm going to move over to the tabs over here to the left. The first tab I want to show you is the Property tab. The Property tab is where you would, one of the first location attribute you typically collect. In this case, this university is broken up into different areas. Administrative, you can see the different areas this campus is broken up into. And anytime I want to choose one of these locations, I can click on it and it's going to highlight all the trees that are following to that location attribute. And it does give you the number of trees here next to it. So if I go to Middle Earth, highlight that. You can also bookmark ones that you might go to more frequently. So if you're a tree contractor, this is where all of your properties would be listed. And if you wanted to go directly to that property, again, you click here, but if you had certain properties or areas that you want to bookmark, I can take at ones and bookmark them, and they add it to my bookmark tab. So it just gives you the ones that you might go to more often. You can also run a search. If you want to search for a property in here, get to it more quickly. The next tab is the filter. So the filter is new. This is something that is a new feature that we've added to 2.0 that wasn't part of any other of our softwares. What this does, it narrows your inventory down to what you want to see. So in the example I'm going to use, you can filter it by all these different attributes. If I want to filter by a specific condition, I can do that. All these different choices here. I'm going to do this by property. And when you hit and click the filter, it blanks out everything until you choose the filter you want. I'm going to choose my filter as parking lots, because in this example, I'm going to use parking lots. I'm the person in charge of all the parking lot trees at this university. So that's all I really want to look at. And if you see here, you see that it's narrowed the trees down to just over 2,000. So now my inventory has been only my parking lot trees. No other trees are showing up. None else will show up down here. It's just my inventory view. Now from this, I know that I have some work that I want to get done in a specific parking lot. I have some funds available to do this month, and I know there's a lot that I've needed to take care of. So I'm going to go to my search tab, and I'm going to search for that parking lot. So I'm going to go down to my location attributes, my location, and I know it's parking lot 16. I can start typing in, it'll narrow my drop down. Run my search, and now it's highlighted all the trees in parking lot 16. Now, I don't have enough in my budget to do all the trees, but I'm just going to focus on my priority 2 prune trees. So now that I have all these trees, I have my 91 trees selected. I can use this search box here to narrow my search even more from this spreadsheet view. So if I want to pull up my priority 2 prunes, I can run the search. It's given me my 13 trees that fall into that category. I want to highlight those, and I'm going to update that to my new selection. So now I have my selection of the trees that I'm now going to create a work list so I can send to my contractor. So these 13 trees are the ones I want to get trimmed. I'm going to go over to my work list tab. This is where I'll create my list. You've got your proposed, your open, and your closed. I'm going to add a new one. This is going to be new, and it's going to default to today's date as the list name unless I uncheck this box, and then I can go in here and name this list. I'm going to name it as my lot 16 2021 trim. Gives the creation date, and I'm going to have a scheduled date for this coming Monday. I'm going to send this to Tree Elements. I can put any hours or cost, crew leader. My work code is going to be a trim. It's going to be a clearance trim. And you can see here that I've filled in all the required fields. I'm done. It's now going to put the numbers 1 through 13. So I've created my list. Now I'm going to send that list to, I'm going to have my contract then work on this list and complete the list. So they'll have ArborPro, they'll pull it up, they'll go to the list, they will go to open list, and they will click on the list that I've just created. It'll open it up for them. And under this inventory view, my work list is here. What I'm going to do is now click on the trees that have been completed. So on Monday, the contractor did these 5 trees. And those 5 trees have been selected in my list. And I'm going to mass update those to show the completion date is Monday. Oops. Just to finish that. So you can see the completion date for those 5 trees is now shown up over here on the right as the completion date. I'm going to move on to the search tab over here. Search tab, pretty self-explanatory. I can search by either one attribute or a combination of multiple attributes. In this case, I'm going to look for all of my dead trees on campus. Run my search, shows I have 158 dead trees on this campus. But now I kind of want to look at where those trees are. So another tab over here is our report tab. Click on the reports. I don't want to run a full inventory report. I just want to run a report off this selection. And I can run this as a PDF or as a CSV. So I can run any of my reports as either of those 2 file types, landscape. And again, I want to show a property report because I want to see where all my dead trees are. It's going to open up the report. And I can see that I've got most of them in the Verano Place property and athletics. I'm going to focus here on the athletics. I got some games coming up. So from here, I can go back to my search. And instead of creating a new search, I'm going to select from this search. So select from map highlight. And from here, this is where I'll be saying I want to look at the dead trees that are in property, athletics, and search. So now I've narrowed that search to my 28 dead trees in the athletics. Want to run another report by species to kind of see what I have. And now I've got my species breakdown. So it looks like most of those dead trees are my eucalyptus. Next, I want to show you the color palette. But at first, I'm going to go back. And again, I want to add my filter for my parking lots. And I want to now color these by condition. So I have the different colors that I can use. You can do it by recommended maintenance, by tree condition, by species. Shows you the species and how many you have of each. And same with condition. So I want to look at condition. And I want to print a map of this. So I'm going to go over to my print tab here, open this up. I'm going to add a title to it. So I can title this as print. And that opens up the printing in a new window where I can kind of move it around, gives me my title, and it tells me the legend here, what I have of each condition. Zoom in to an area, and I can then print this area as a PDF or to a printer. Again, always go back to default. That concludes most of what I want to show you here on this database. I want to move over to another database really quick before I finish up and open up for some comments or questions. But we also have a new proposal feature that's coming out, which is more focused towards our tree contractors. But it's a new feature that we're added, should be done here within the next week. But I want to give you a little highlight of that for those that are interested. This is a tree contracting database with all the properties spread out throughout Southern California. I'm going to be focusing on a specific property that I know I'm going to be proposing on. That's going to be Acacia Park. So I zoom into that property, again, it highlights them all here. But I know I'm just interested in looking at and proposing on the Mexican fan palms. On my search, got 87 of those. Highlight the 87 palms. Make that my new selection. And this is what I'm going to use for my proposal. The proposal folder is over here. Create new proposal. Opens up the proposals. Puts down the logo and the company information. It's built into it. You have your choice from what customer list. So if it's property management or just the HOA, in this case, it's a property management, and this is the property that we're proposing on. Shown down here are all the trees that are part of that, but I want to group these because I'm pricing them based off of the DBH. So I want to auto group them by DBH, and you have other choices here with some more choices to come. But in this example, I'm going to group them by DBH. It's going to ask me yes. So now it's grouped them into my 3 DBH sizes for these trees. And since I do have different pricing for those, I can open up the 34 here of the 19 to 24 DBH. And this is going to be a trim and a palm prune. The unit is 1, and my cost $75. That will update all 34 of those trees and update the total cost over here. Go to my next one, Same thing, different price. Like these 65. Close that, and my last one, smaller one. So I've got my total. I can adjust it if I want to give somebody a discount, a 10% or not. And then I can print this and send it to the client with the totals. So that's just kind of a quick view of it. If you wanted to see more of that, like I said, we're going to be releasing here in the next week, and we can do a full demo of that just by giving us a call, giving myself a call.
Show the map tip and the preferences too. The map tip and
So let me go back to one more thing here. I did almost skip over. We have the map preferences. So some of the settings down here would be map options. So as you noticed, when I did make a selection, they turned red. You can change that color to any other color in the color wheel here if you like to have a different color. You can also do that by the tray tab, the tray inventory tab, when I'm selecting from that spreadsheet view. Right now, those were turning blue, but again, I can change that. The open tree details pane. So right now, when I do click on that tree, it opens up the full tree detail. Some people do just like to see more of a window pane first. And so when I do want to open up or look at a tree, and I have that as my default, it's going to open up this kind of just a smaller pane of that tree. And when I want to see the full tree detail, I just click on the tree ID and that'll open it up over here. Labels. So you have the option to put some labels. You can put the tree ID label next to each point and maybe the species in common. So as I zoom in, you'll see that has those labels. Of course, when you zoom out, they disappear. Just the fact you wouldn't be able to see them very well. So if you zoom in, you've got your labels. I can also change the size, the font size of those. So if I want to make them a little bigger, gives you the example, check, and it's going to show bigger. Bigger isn't always better in this case. Make them smaller. And there's also some clear and reset options. So right now, when I hit this, this is my clear and reset tab button down here. When I hit that, it's going to do everything that I have checked there. So it's going to clear my map highlights, going to clear my inventory highlights, reset my filters. Any work history points I have pulled up, it's going to clear those out and zoom me back to the full extent of my map. So you have the option to either have all those set up like this or not. If you want to just reset everything, it goes back to what was there before. I like to have most of these checked off. And the zoom highlights. So this is where when I do click on one of those properties, when I showed you the properties tab here, it will zoom to that property. If for whatever reason you didn't want that, you can uncheck here. And same with the work history. So when I open up a list, a work list, it zooms into that work list when it's opened up. But if you wanted to take those off and disable them, you can. So this is kind of the settings. There'll be more settings added here as we come up with some other features in the software. This is the software that we are going to be building off of. I'd say monthly there's going to be new features, sometimes fixes, sometimes suggestions from people like yourself that we'll be adding. So this is constantly changing, and with those changes, we'll be updating all clients that are using it with those changes via email or phone call. That concludes this part of the webinar. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.